and let us all do we can to build a better future.
With the aftermath of Dr. Jill Stein making her announcement that she's going to be running for the Green Party nomination in 2024, attention has been once again put onto the independent candidates who are running. Now, I have my criticisms for both RFK Jr. and Dr. Cornel West. Now, I do have to commend RFK Jr. for taking the serious task of, running a Democratic primary and then leaving it to run as an independent. He should have maybe done that from the get-go. But nonetheless, it is what it is. The ink is already dry. I have my other criticisms for RFK Jr. and his very close relationship with Israel and Rabbi Shmuley, and so much more, to where I would not think about voting for him. Dr. Cornel West's campaign started with the People's Party, and it made perfect sense to me when he left them to run with the Greens, and then bringing in Peter Dow, which was a horrible idea, declaring himself independent and losing ballot access from 18 states to a whopping 0. But nonetheless, when you add in Dr. Cornel West and RFK Jr.'s name to the ballot for a potential vote off with Biden and Trump's name as well, what is important to note and point out is that RFK Jr. and Dr. Cornel West, in their own right, are able to secure a significant portion of the vote, in which it could help them perhaps build an independent third-party movement. And it also is a severe gut check to the Democrats. And no, vote blue no matter who. RFK Jr. and Dr. Cornel West, as much as I might be critical of them right now, they are not stealing votes from Biden. They are earning votes. And this is across the political spectrum, because Republican voters and Democratic voters want to vote for somebody else. Everyone's sick and tired of the two-party system. And I want to pull this up here. Focus groups, Arizona, swing voters prefer RFK Jr. to Trump and Biden. So what is going on? Dissatisfied with President Biden and former President Trump, some Arizona swing voters prefer Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in 2024, according to our latest focus group. So why it matters. Interviews with Arizona voters who pivoted from Trump in 2016 to Biden in 2020 suggested they are open to a third option other than the two candidates leading their parties. With so much apathy towards Trump and Biden, swing voters are off the charts receptive to a third alternative, especially one with such a recognizable name. And that is something that RFK Jr. has, and to some extent, even Dr. Cornel West have working for them. So I want to pull up this video here, and let me wait for it to get set up. So let's go ahead and play it, because people want something different.
We've talked a lot on this show about who the candidacy of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. helps more, Biden or Trump. What if the answer is kind of neither? What if the candidate who gains the most from RFK's entry into the 2024 presidential race actually is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? Because up until now, we've mostly talked about his role as a possible spoiler. But a stunning new poll shows that he has the potential to be much more than that. And if these numbers hold, he actually has a chance to win the presidency. Now, remember this New York Times poll, right? Had everyone buzzing about Trump leading Biden in 5 of 6 key battleground states. But it also shows that in those 6 key battleground states, RFK is very much within striking distance of both Trump and Biden in a hypothetical 3-way matchup. The poll has RFK at a whopping 24%, well within striking distance of both Trump and Biden. Trump currently leads the potential 3-way race in the battlegrounds with 35, Biden has 33. That's not all. The poll finds that among voters under 45, RFK actually leads both Trump and Biden in those states. He pulls down 31% among voters 30 to 44, just ahead of both Trump and Biden, which have 30%. He fares even better among the youngest voters. Poll shows RFK has 34% support, with voters in the 18 to 29 category.
Now, I know as much of us who are critical of RFK Jr., especially towards his unwavering support for Israel, it is abundantly clear that his name recognition is what's going to secure him plenty of votes from people who are angry or no longer interested in voting Democrat or Republican. And to be very clear here, not a lot of people watch independent media because everyone is very busy. And so because the way corporate media presents the news, they see RFK Jr. as the independent candidate. And let's be clear here, when asked a simple question, would you support a third-party candidate? The number of Americans who want to support somebody else other than Democrats or Republicans has been increasing with the passing of every single year. Since we started Hard Lens Media, we've talked about this story about how Americans want to vote for a third-party candidate. And now, around 50% of the U.S. population identifies himself as a third-party voter, independent, non-affiliate voter, because they are tired of Democrats and Republicans screwing us over. I want to pull up another video here, and a shout out to good friend of the show, Larry Sharp, libertarian. Please be sure to check out his show and content. He breaks it down perfectly on this same program, so please be sure to give a follow to Larry Sharp.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. continues to be almost completely ignored by both left and right-leaning cable news following the launch of his third-party presidential campaign. Fox News, MSNBC, CNN combined mentioned him just 8 times in the past 2 weeks. Now, this is status quo for the left-leaning outlets, and while JFK was the toast of the town on Fox News for a while, now they are giving him the cold shoulder since he's running against the eventual Republican nominee and heavily favored Donald Trump. But the partisan media on both sides ignore him, I think, at their peril, because the latest fundraising and polling numbers.
I also want to bring up something here in the live stream chat. Shout out to our viewing audience here. Chicago Great One writes, there's literally no primary in either party this year. That is absolutely correct. We've known the nominees since last election. Never has been less of a choice. Precisely. I'm going to be surprised if the Democrats actually are successful in getting Biden not to run. But let's be clear here. I think he's going all in. They're going all in with old man Biden. And Trump, I said in 2020 that Trump was going to run again. Daniel said that Trump was going to run again. Jimmy Dore said Trump was going to run again. RBN said Trump was going to run again. Everyone saw it coming. In fact, a lot of us would have been surprised if Trump didn't run again in 2024. That would have been the shocker. But I have to give a shout out to my old colleague, Farron Frozik, who said, look, Trump has to run again because he wants to gain control again of his political movement, the MAGA movement, because Ron DeSanctimonious, the high-heeled governor of Florida, all right, I shouldn't have said that, was battling Trump for the MAGA movement. And the way DeSanctimonious has been floundering, come on, it's not even open for a debate. Trump has won the Republican primary. There was a third debate already, and no one cared. No one noticed. Why? Because Republican voters wanted Trump. And of course, Biden, and this is a very good picture of Biden. It doesn't look like the senile Biden that we've been looking at recently. It was going to be a rematch again. 2 old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup. So it's completely understandable when RFK Jr.'s name is added to the roster. Dr. Cornel West, and look, to an extent, Dr. Jill Stein of the Green Party, or fighting for the Green Party nomination, their names will pull in and gravitate more voters. 50% of the population here in America identifies themselves as third party and independent.
Suggest whether they like it or not, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be a factor in the 2024 presidential race. He raked in a whopping $11 million within 6 hours of launching his independent bid. Campaign coffers filling up fast. Look at his poll numbers. New PBS poll shows Kennedy drawing 16% of the vote in a hypothetical 3-way race with Biden and Trump. He could very well determine the outcome of the 2024 election, and no one seems to really want to talk about him. Back with us, Kaylee McGee-White, Restoring America editor at Washington Examiner, Larry Sharp, Libertarian candidate in New York, and John Fugelsang, comedian and SiriusXM host on the Progress Channel. Kaylee, how significant do you think he is, and which one do you think he helps more?
I think that he hurts Biden more, ultimately. I think that his fundraising haul is impressive. However, I just don't see any realistic path to victory for a third-party candidate because of the state selection process. I mean, the winner-takes-all system really takes.
He's not going to win.
No,
he's not going to win. The question is, who's he going to? And he seems to think, by the way, that he's going to take more votes from Trump. And I tend to agree with him. This is RFK talking about this very issue on a recent radio show.
I take many more votes from President Trump than I do from President Biden.
So you think it would be a net asset to Biden?
I think that may be one of the reasons they're trying to push me out of the party.
Larry, you think he's right?
Yes, and there's an and here. One, when they believed that he was taking more from Trump, that's when, of course, they're going to put him on CNN. When they think more from Biden, they're going to put him on, Fox. But now he's gone off to become independent. So now no one loves him. Welcome to my world. Yes, being a third party, no one pays attention to you. They go out of their way to diss you. And the reason is, if he actually gets ballot access, and I keep talking about ballot access, if he gets ballot access, this is winnable. Let me tell you how it's winnable. Two ways, depends how you define a victory. All he has to do is make sure that no one gets 270 votes. That's it. If he makes sure no one gets 270, this gets thrown into the Congress. He's got a shot at either winning or at least being the guy who threw it all into chaos. So he can make impact with the victory as long as he gets ballot access. And raising $11 million already now, there's a chance he can get enough. If he gets enough states, he will actually make impact. The reason why we should ignore him is he has a chance of literally winning electoral votes. That could actually happen if he's on the ballot. He does that, he can either win this thing by selection or he could actually decide who wins this.
Another thing to point out, ballot access is key, and that's going to be a serious task that he's going to have to inspire his voters to do. And same will apply to Dr. Cornel West, who's running as an independent. Same will apply to Dr. Jill Stein, should she secure the Green Party nomination for 2024. Same thing will also apply for the Libertarian candidate, whoever wins the nomination. We've actually interviewed two of the Libertarian candidates who are the two front runners to try and get the nomination. However this plays out, ballot access is key. Now, if it comes to the point to where maybe these independent candidates were to even secure one or two electoral college votes, let's say each one was able to do it, that would systematically shake the system to its very foundation. See, the Democratic Party and Republican Party, the reason why they never got rid of the Electoral College is because it worked for them. We're the only democracy, republic, that doesn't rely on popular vote. We have a very antiquated system. So popular vote means jack. But whoever is able to secure electoral college votes can change the system and can perhaps lead a severe gut check to both the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment. It's easier said than done, but there is the possibility of it being achieved due to the fact that there is voter outrage towards Democrats and Republicans who have low approval rating.
I'm not against third party. I'm an independent. I think our greatest ever president was a third party president who got in with only 38% of the vote. And that was Lincoln. RFK was taking a lot more away from Trump with the anti-vax rhetoric. And that's why last week he began talking about reparations. And now he's getting more heat. It is true that third party candidates like Ross Perot and Ralph have gotten a lot more media coverage in the last 25 years. In this case, Robert Kennedy's not going to be able to win the Kennedy family primary, and they're going to come out against him hard. Does
that matter? I mean, that matters among Democrats, right?
Well, if the Kennedy brand is what he's riding,
for Democrats,
the Kennedy family will come out against it.
So
they already have.
I disagree with I still think that it hurts Biden more. And I say this because the Democratic primary base has not made up its mind about Joe Biden, but everyone in the Republican base has made up their mind about Donald Trump one way or the other. The Republican base is pretty much unified around Trump. Joe Biden cannot solidify his support right now. That pulls support away from him. And also, listen, all Trump has to do is get up on the stage and say, he endorsed Hillary Clinton twice. He voted for Joe Biden in 2020. He supports a radical climate agenda, and he supports AOC's tax plan. those are RFK's policies. As soon as you start talking details, the support from
Well, that's what
Republican
Sean
voters
Hannity's
is gonna-
doing now, right?
Yeah.
Before he was sort of celebrating him. Oh my, no one's giving him a chance, and now Hannity's like cross-examining him.
I mean, find me liberals who care about women's reproductive rights who are going to vote for a guy who spoke at CPAC. RFK speaking at CPAC, that's kissing away Democratic
I'll go
votes.
back to my point, right? He has to win in independent states. He's got to win in like Utah or Wyoming or New Hampshire or a place like that. I'm making those states up, but that's where he's going to win. He's not going to win in any place else, but he could win in those states because there's enough people who are independent-minded or who don't vote.
Mm-hmm.
And if that person gets up out of their seat, right, and they show up at the polling station, they vote RFK.
Product brand name.
It's also important to point out, too, about voters who don't engage or have washed their hands clean of electoral politics. And this is something that the media has underestimated in regards towards independents and third-party candidates. If enough people do turn out, said third-party candidate or independent candidate can secure a victory, or either that, maintain a position of power that can grab both the Republican and Democratic Party establishment's attention to where they'll have to bend the knee. I don't see an independent candidate winning the White House, but I do see an independent candidate perhaps securing enough votes and maybe controversially winning an electoral college vote to systematically get the Democrats and Republicans to bend to their will in order for said Democrats and Republicans to secure the presidency of 2024. Boy, wouldn't things be simpler if we had a ranked choice voting and popular vote? Things get stupid here in America. Boy, oh boy, does it ever. But however, again, articles are pointing out that Biden's independent and primary rival sees on his bad polls. Let's face it. You have people who are already covering this. They're talking about how Dean Phillips, a Democrat from Minnesota, yes, to a lesser extent, Marianne Williamson, are slowly gaining momentum. You have RFK Jr. and Dr. Cornel West, who can, as independent candidates, cause a severe headache to Republicans and Democrats, and to an extent, Dr. Jill Stein of the Green Party, should she secure the nomination, and the Libertarians. I don't know how 2024 will play out. I know it's not going to be the most important election year of our lifetime, but it should be the most interesting and most hilarious. I hope that's how it turns out. Because now, get ready. I hope you're sitting down. I hope you're paying attention. Because if I see this, I might have to throw a brick at something. Now, if I was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I really wouldn't get involved in politics, especially after him and Oprah did that big-brained tactic of setting up a fundraiser, and a millionaire and a billionaire setting up a fundraiser for the victims of the Lahaina fire in Maui, and then telling you, all you poor folk, hey, put your money into it. Stupid. But if you don't believe me, hey, here's CNN once again having another collective meltdown.
I was fascinated, though, by another potential, we don't know, maybe fresh face in politics, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, God.
Just on Trevor Noah's podcast, he's...
God damn it. Why is everyone having a freaking... Never mind. You know what? Hey, everyone has a podcast. Your left hand is going to have a podcast. Your dog's going to have a podcast. Everyone has a podcast.
Says he's actually on the radar of both parties. Take a listen to this moment.
At the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, rather, in 2022, I got a visit from the parties asking me if I was going to run and if I could run.
Wow.
And it was a big deal. And it came out of the blue.
Wow.
And it was one after the other. And they brought up that poll. They also brought up their own deep dive research and data that would prove, should I ever decide to go down that road,
You would be a real contender.
I hate saying this, but there would be people who would even consider supporting Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. My criticism of The Rock was how tone deaf do you have to be as a millionaire, a multimillionaire, to set up a frickin' fundraiser and then ask poor people to put in their money? See, now if he put in, let's say, $1 million and Oprah were to do an extent, something like that, hey, $2 million in the fundraiser, that's fine. I'm willing to give him that, okay? Bare minimum. Then I think it would be okay. Like, hey guys, we just put $1 million. And the Oprah put $1 million into the fundraiser. But if you could help out too, with just $1, again, things would not be so bad. But Jesus Christ, you set up a fundraiser. I'm so glad that the whole internet dragged them through the coal. Hot ranking coals. I'm so glad they did that. But brace yourselves, okay? Brace yourselves for 2024. Everyone pretend to be shocked at how stupid it can get. It's going to be funny. It's going to be interesting. But work on your shocked face.
Yeah.
David, what do you make of that?
Jesus says it doesn't matter. 2024.
Well, look, he's a really popular figure, and he's in popular culture. And
David, shut up.
I think we've now seen that people can make the jump from popular culture to political success in America. And he crosses a bunch of lines, racial lines, political lines, and so on. But there's a lot between there and what it takes to actually run for president, become president. He said family considerations caused him not to do it. So we'll see. I think that's a conversation for the future. The one we just had is very relevant because no matter what the No Labels Party says, I think Harry Anton will tell you you should put down money that one of the major party candidates is going to win. But these third party these third party candidates could decide which candidate that is.
So as much as I'm not a fan of David Axelrod, he is correct. This is the opportunity that the Greens squandered on. The ever real possibility that RFK Jr. and to an extent Dr. Cornel West, and yes, even the Libertarians could capitalize on. If the Libertarians, RFK Jr., Dr. Cornel West, and perhaps maybe the Greens, though I find it doubtful, were to secure each in their own right one electoral college vote, enough to where the Democrats and Republicans cannot get the significant amount of electoral college votes in order for them to secure the presidency, we could witness something that's never been seen here in American politics. And I hope that is the case. That would make it very interesting. But no matter how this plays out, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. A Democrat or Republican will sit in the White House. All depends on just really how independents and third-party candidates are able to effectively use their power. And I'm going to say this again because it's easy for me to say these things, what could be accomplished. It just matters on which person, which campaign is willing to put in the blood, the sweat, the tears, and the groundwork necessary in order to be an effective power player for 2024. For independents and third-party candidates that are running for office, yes, the goal is to get the White House, but I don't see that happening. I have to be honest with you guys. I don't see that happening. But what they can do is use the system to the best of their ability in order to implement their power to get the two-party system to bend the knee to them. That is a very real scenario. It all just depends on who is able to inspire more people to turn out and who secures ballot access, just not in 18 or 30 or 40 states, but all 50 states. That's going to be key for the third party and independent candidates that are in 2024. But the real power is citizen ballot initiatives and getting every state to become a citizen ballot initiative so we can abolish political parties. But that's a fight, an arduous fight for another day.
With a prediction like that, I might have you pick my lotto numbers next time, David Axelrod. Mario, when you look at that, I mean, I don't know that The Rock is the no labels guy at this point, but it is always fascinating to hear about parties reaching out to, as David points out, somebody who checks a lot of boxes, but does that mean they're really fit and have the experience to run a country?
I mean, I wonder, look, by design, the founding fathers wanted citizens to be servants, civil servants. So, I mean, I don't think there's any pedigree, as we know, to being president other than getting a majority of the electors in the Electoral College. I will say, I don't know which parties reached out to him. It sounds like no labels query, but I mean, it's hard to imagine the the RNC and the DNC both, but either way, what it shows is we're in this fantasy baseball chapter of our presidential contest where the field is winnowing. It looks like we know who the candidates, or we have a sense of who the candidates are going to be. On the Republican side, the field is winnowing. On the Democratic side, we suspect it'll be Joe Biden. And people are looking around for others. We have also heard I mean, there are people in the donor class who whisper about Oprah and fantasize about.
Oh, God. Oh, God, not Oprah. Son of a. You know, I mean, enough with celebrity worship. And these donors, you know, just because they got millions upon millions of dollars, remember, that doesn't mean that they're smart, okay? Everyone fantasizing about Oprah. Oprah has property in Maui that is almost on par with the size of Central Park, right? She had the audacity, a billionaire, not a millionaire, a billionaire, setting up a fundraiser and then telling poor folk, all you poor people, to put your hard-earned one red penny into it. I didn't say $1 because back in the day, $1 used to mean something. Now $1 means nothing.
Oprah still joining in a no labels ticket as a VP because, you know, she's new to politics. I mean, so there is
Everything old is new again.
Speculation everywhere all the time, and it is because, you know, people get tired of the choices.
And yet these are the choices
Margaret,
they have. Yeah.
Gee, that was an awkward way she looked at the camera. Sorry. I shouldn't be judging.
Margaret, you call it fantasy baseball. I think there are others who probably call it a nightmare right now.
Good. I'm glad they call it a nightmare. And I'm happy to contribute to it. I do support independents and third-party candidates. I don't know how to feel about either the candidates or the parties themselves because, you know, the recent actions these past few months has given me a big gut check. Shout out to Misty Winston. Electoral politics just isn't the way. She's correct.
Harry, what do you call it?
I call it a dream come true because I would never have experienced anything quite like this. I mean, this is like something out of an Aaron Sorkin script rather than realism, but apparently we're now living in the West Wing or something like that.
We just might be. There is a lot, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out because you're right. We know who the players are, and yet we keep hearing all these things. All right. Great to see all of you. Thank you. Thanks for playing along.
And as a final note, look, I think it's also important that we do acknowledge that Dr. Cornel West is still running. I really don't know how much momentum he has in his campaign, knowing the fact that it has had a lot of serious issues in regards to infrastructure, Peter Dow being a campaign manager, and of course, leaving the People's Party for the Greens and now running as independent. I do wish him all the best, and I think it's important that we at least hear from him as well.
I'm on my way to the gathering for the ceasefire for precious brothers and sisters in Gaza, but I am telling you at this moment that we are having a Zoom Thursday, November 16th, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, a Zoom for each and every one of you to be a part of. Please be there. And some of the fire tied to the ceasefire, the Laurel fire tied to the call for ceasefire will be there on the Zoom. See you there. Stay strong.
So I want to end this with a question to you, my audience. Where do you stand so far with the independent candidates? And really, just you can give a name that you like, or just remain anonymous, you know. But type 1 if you think, hey, Kit, I think this is the time for independents and third-party candidates to really gain the momentum and ground. I'm going to give you multiple choice, by the way. Gain some ground that can actually bring in much needed change. I think this is the time for independents and third parties. Type 1. Type 2, you know, their recent actions have left me 50-50 on this. I'm not going to vote, or either that, it's going to take a lot out of me to vote. Or type 3, dude, it doesn't matter. Electoral politics doesn't matter. A Democrat or Republican is going to win. It doesn't matter at all. It just doesn't matter. Type in the comment section below. Give us your thoughts. Give us your thoughts on how you think this will all play out. Do you think independents have a chance to really shake up the foundation of the political system? Is this the year that's going to do it? Or will it just be another sad chapter of politics here in America? Stay tuned to Hard Lens Media.